It's time with JMU Hall of Famer Delvin Joyce.
Joyce breaks a tackle and goes in for a touchdown. Another spectacular run by Delvin Joyce.
Alongside one of the best signal callers in JMU history.
Thad Lee, he's got plenty of room across the 50 to the 40. He should make it all the way to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, James Madison University.
Together, the duo bring their unique perspective to the podcast, breaking down all the things they're seeing about JMU football. This is To the House. Now, here's Delvin Joyce with Vad Lee.
What's up, JMU Nation? Welcome to another episode of To the House. I am your host, Delvin Joyce, the People's Choice. I am joined by my co-host and good friend and pal, Vadimus Lee, future Hall of Famer. What's going on, Vad?
What's good in the hood? To the house. Man, JMU took care of business. I'm in the house today with all three of my babies, man. It's Thanksgiving break. And so you might hear some noise in the background, but hey, they'll just join it. They'll be our crowd noise. You know, we us podcasters, we need to get better under pressure as well.
I love it, man. You got daddy daycare going on over there. And
no doubt.
and
But
you
I
know,
will tell you, it's
yeah.
eggnog season. It's eggnog season.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is Vad having spiked eggnog at 10 a.m. on a Monday morning?
Hey, man, when you got
are the
your
kids
children at
driving
home.
you to that?
You got your children at home. You're trying to figure it out. Your dog is barking. Everything going on. Got the hood on today because I'm just like, man, just get through it. Just get through it.
Man, my guy is struggling over there. Somebody send help to Vad Lee. But, man, you know, and by the way, somebody sent help to the Dukes. It was Marvel Superhero Day. And they say not all heroes wear capes, man. We had a couple of heroic performances in this game. We're going to get to that in a second. But Vat, what was your thoughts? I guess you got a chance to watch it at home. I was there. You got a chance to watch it at home. What were your thoughts on Marvel Superhero Day?
You know what? I thought it brought a cool element to the game, just being able to watch it on TV. It didn't seem like something super big in terms of like a big distraction out there where, you know, you got some crazy color uniform or something like that. It was legit. It kind of fit in with the helmets. You know, I was watching the game with my wife and, you know, it was just something cool to add to talk about. You know what I mean? She didn't know what was going on, but she did notice it and thought it was very interesting. And so I got to explain to her a little bit. And so it was just something cool, especially if you're not like a football person. It was just another added element to kind of make it unique in terms of watching.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome, pretty cool too, because I got a couple of text messages from some friends who aren't really necessarily JMU football fans, but apparently, you know, this got picked up, you know, on several other broadcasts, right? Like I think CBS showed this during the USC Oregon game, and they were like, look at these James Madison helmets and blah, blah, blah. So people were texting me like, yo, these helmets are fire. And so I thought that was really cool. I also thought it was cool in the stadium. There were a lot of people that were dressed up like Marvel superheroes. Like it was pretty dope. There's a lot of Captain Americas. My good friend and teammate, Marcus Ordonez, I thought stole the show, man. This guy, he was a linebacker for us, but he dressed up as the Incredible Hulk.
Nice.
And he had JMU patches on there. I put it on my Instagram story, so if you got a chance to see that. But, I mean, he nailed it, knocked it out of the park. So I thought it was cool for people and the fans and for the national media. Where I didn't necessarily love Marvel Superhero Day at, and maybe it was just my perception of how the game was going, I felt like it took away from some of the normal in-game energy and experience that we typically get at Bridgeforth, right? Like some of the hype music that we would get over the loudspeakers during the game wasn't quite there because there was like this Marvel themed stuff that was going on. And then the band wasn't necessarily playing some of their hype songs because they were playing like Marvel superhero music that I don't think most people even understood that it was like Marvel theme songs. So while I thought it was cool, I did, you know, there was a point in the game. And again, I don't know if it was because of how the game was going, but I texted someone, I think it was Bennett Conlon, who I got to see on the way in the stadium. Shout out to Bennett from JMU Sports News. But I texted him, I was like, there's zero energy in this stadium right now. And I don't know if that had to do with it But I guess, how did it come across on television? Could you tell?
You know, I don't necessarily think so. I could tell.
Yeah.
Because I mean, mainly I'm watching the game, right? I'm not. You don't get that added crowd element, I guess.
Yeah.
When you're watching it on TV, especially if they're not scanning the crowd. So I take your word on that. You know, in terms of there is a rhythm to a football game in a stadium where you want to like. The announcers have or the guy who's controlling that has a big job because you want to get people into the game. And you, like, I remember going to a high school game and just remembering, yo, this guy in the booth, like, he is playing some jams. Like, he is like rolling. Who is this guy? Like, I wanted to know his name. I wanted to go up to him afterwards and meet him because he created an environment that was like fun, exciting, and also for the player standpoint, it created some extra juice and some extra energy. So I definitely understand. We've never talked about that. I've never thought about that before, but I love how you brought up that point because there is this new electricness into college football, especially with the stadium lights and, you know, flickering on and off and things of that nature, that you add a production to the game now where it creates an extra environment, home field advantage.
Yeah, it felt like something was missing, and I think it was a little bit around
So they overstretched. They overstretched the superhero.
I thought it worked, but it just wasn't. I don't think our crowd knew what to do at certain points, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just the normal rhythm. But I will say, bro, that place in the fourth quarter was absolutely rocking. When the Dukes needed the fans the most, everybody stepped up, got so loud, especially on Wazoo's final drive, man. I mean, it was rocking in that stadium. And then at the end of the game, the crowd came up big. There was a couple of things like I would say about this game. I absolutely love this game. I felt like this was one of the games that we absolutely moved up to FBS for. Like, it wasn't as satisfying, you know, as the blowout of an App State game, but I don't want every week to be a blowout like that, right? That's not what we're in it for. This was a solid, old school football, hard-nosed football battle. And I loved it. And I got to tell you, bro, if we had lost, right, no more Marvel Superhero Day ever again. But also, I would never, ever get an opportunity to narrate the hype video, right?
Oh yeah,
because I'm so superstitious.
You did do the hype video. I did see that. That was awesome, man.
Yeah. I was like, I can't be the guy that loses when he narrates the hype video. Like,
no doubt. That's like me when I go in to speak to teams. Like, I definitely take it personally. Like, if I go and speak to a team, by the way, like, I went to go speak to Clemson, right? And then they had to play Louisville, and I was a little conflicted because I'm just like, man, we need Louisville to continue to win to strengthen our JMU schedule. However, I take it very personally when I go and speak to a team. So I was definitely pulling for Clemson to win that game. They ended up winning, right? But no, to your point, when you're involved, it just feels like, you know, it just feels a little bit more personal to you. And so, like you said, though, man. To get into it, I did think that this was like an old school. It almost reminded me of like a wild card playoff game feel.
It felt like that.
Towards, you know what I mean? Where you got the hot team versus the team that just barely made it into the playoffs, but the team almost like a Pittsburgh Steelers type of team. You know, they always have like a 13
blue collar.
Yeah, like a 12-6 record or something like that. And it's like versus the major dog, right? And yet Pittsburgh somehow finds a way to win it in those, you know, extreme playoff implications. So for me, it was almost like a wild card playoff game where it might not show up on the stat sheet because of Wazoo's record, but I absolutely feel like we needed that type of game, needed that type of performance to prepare us for what's to come. And obviously we have big visions of what's to come. We have big dreams of what's to come, but I thought that this game in particular was one of those leadership, development, you know, grit,
character development, bro.
Yeah, just everything that we needed to advance to that next level of feeling like or believing that we got what it actually takes to play big boy football.
Yeah, and speaking of what you just said, I mean, I think, we've said this a couple of times on this podcast this season, or at least I have. This is probably a game last year that we lose, right? We said that about the Georgia State game, a game that, should have never been that close, but it was. And that's one of those games that might have slipped through the cracks last year and we would have lost. And same with that Marshall game at the 75 game at Marshall. Like, that's probably one that we lose. And I think this game, the way that this one went, the ebbs and flows, the momentum changes, the things that went down in this game. This is one of the games last year that got away from us. And this year, I think this team has learned how to win. And I think when you say something like, oh, they got to learn how to win, it's very cliche to say a team has to learn how to win. But this team has absolutely learned how to win. And that, I don't know what that means to you, but here's what it means to me. For me, it means that the team has learned to trust one another, right? They've learned to trust that DJ Barksdale is going to make that play on that fourth down at the end of the game and keep them from picking up a big first down. It means that the team trusts that if they hit their 111th and they hit their blocking assignments, that Wayne Knight's going to break one and score a touchdown. And I think that's what we were missing last year. I don't know that there was that trust there because, Chesney put the team together with duct tape and, however they put it last year, right? So I'm excited to see the growth and maturity of the team and how they trust one another, man. And so that did as you were watching the game, did you see the trust through some of the plays that happened in that game?
Yeah, you bring up a great point in terms of the team. I want to first start off, you brought up an amazing point about the team, but it also shows the trust in the coaching staff as well. I mean, let's be frank. I mean, these guys, they went up a level from Holy Cross and came here to James Madison where, not saying that I'm sure they've been in a lot of these situations before, but there's just a bigger element. There's a bigger stage, where these coaches are now putting themselves in positions to answer the call. They were able to learn from last year. They were able to learn for some things. Everything was new last year, right? And so This year, it just seems like, especially we're not a second half team, but we make great second half adjustments. Let me say that. I don't want to be known as a second half team, right? Because that means that anything can happen in the first half and we're relying on second half. That's not the case. The case is that our players hone in a little bit more once they see what the team is giving us. And then our coaching staff has done a phenomenal job of being able to adjust. This team had 75 yards in the second half of offense. And then on the flip side, our offense ended up scoring 2 touchdowns in the second half and had over 200 yards of total offense in the second half compared to what they had in the first. And so, I see the trust, but I also see where coaching comes in. A lot of times we put everything on players, but you can truly see the coaching that's going into the decision makings. And like you said, trusting our quarterback, trusting our run game, not giving up on our run game, not giving up on our pass game either. You know what I mean? It's sometimes like, oh, this is not working, so let's just heavy run if the pass game or the run game is not working, so let's heavy run. But we see a balanced type of offense, and we see a defense that's phenomenal, that pursues to the ball and just playing with domination. I mean, this defense, that was a hard-fought battle. I mean, Jordan Thomas, Jacob Thomas, right? His arm was literally dangling. I think that maybe the second drive. Did you see that?
Yeah, he got a stinger. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, bro. His arm was it's so funny. One day I'm going to do commentary with my wife watching a game because she's like, oh my God, why would you just put yourself, she was just going off like talking about the physicality of football. And then when the next drive happened, I'm like, hey, you remember that guy that his arm was dangling? He's right there. He's back out on the field.
Back in the game.
Right. Making a big play. Right. And so, and just this defense alone has really just made me like, man, a defensive fan. I'm a defensive fan. I'm an offensive guy, but I tell you what, Coach hits, and this defense makes me like a defensive fan. I almost want to see the defense go out there. Hey, like they're going to show us something. So anyway, man, it does show the trust, and it shows the trust between offense and defense and special teams. Right? Like, all right, offense can't score a touchdown. Guess what? Defense, let's go score a touchdown. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I think this team, man, I just appreciate the way, and you make a great point. The coaching staff, I think, to steal a line from the great philosophical scholar Vat Lee, KYP, know your people.
Know your people.
And I think in this second year, Chesney and staff, they know their personnel really well. They know their strengths, weaknesses, and they know the situations where they can trust them in big games like today. I thought, again, I had a fantastic time. I was sitting in section 211 with a bunch of people I did not know, but we're all high-fiving each other, and I'm going crazy like I normally do, and finally got my voice back again today. Real quick, though, I did get a chance to interact with a lot of the Washington State fans. I was really impressed that a lot of those people came over from Washington State. Like, they actually made the trip.
Wow.
And so I met a couple that, they were wearing Washington State gear, and then they had JMU stuff on. And I was like, hey, why, are you guys a house divided? And apparently their daughter goes to JMU, their son goes to Washington State. And I was like, hey, your daughter's making you proud. Your son's letting you down. But we had a great conversation with them. I thought that was awesome, man, that they would come to the game. I met another couple at Buc-ee's on the way home, and they had flown out from Seattle to see the game. And, they were super complimentary of our game atmosphere, our fans. I mean, the guy literally said, I can't believe your fan base and how excited everybody was. And he said that we were also welcoming of them. So, again, that's what a fan base should be. Like, that's one of the things that I'm proud of JMU, because I think we do really try to do a good job with welcoming other fan bases into Bridgeforth. So that was cool to hear it firsthand.
Yeah.
Where we didn't get a lot of compliments, Vat, I like to listen to other fan podcasts. Where we didn't get a whole lot of compliments was from the Washington State Cougars podcast. And, I think they were largely complimentary of our program. But I felt like, the attitude on that podcast was like, yo, we're better than having to fly across the country and play at home at an away game at James Madison. So I think they are not happy about the state of their program and that they got to come across the country and play at JMU. They said if we had more money, more funding, more fundraising, this would have been a home game in Pullman, right? So I think they even took issue with Brian Barlow at the end of the broadcast saying, JMU had this Pac-12 team coming to Bridgeforth and went toe to toe with them. I think this guy took issue with that and actually said it on their podcast. It's a little too early for what you're talking about, Willis, but bro, what are you talking about, Willis? Washington State, good program. Come on, man. You're talking about James Madison here, right? We think we're Alabama, which is what I love about us. Like, we are a quintessential Yorkshire Terrier, bro. Like, we're small dog, but we think we're like a pit bull.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, one of the things during the production, I love the fact that we were able to bring our athletic director on, Matt Roan, and he talked about the small side of the stadium, and they showed like a picture of what we're going for, right? And I thought that was huge from a vision standpoint, and to be able to broadcast amongst the world as we try to raise money and do different things. You hear my son.
See, your son's excited about that too, man.
He's very excited about the big side.
Stadium expansion.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's running a touchdown right now. Anyway, I thought that was really cool and really just a great production for JMU to be able to show, hey, the vision of where we're going. We think we're big dogs, and we are big dogs.
Yeah, heck yeah. And, I think the other cool thing about that is, I think we'll get more games like that in Bridgeforth, right? So the Washington States of the world, maybe we get an SEC team to come to Bridgeforth at some point one day when we have, enough seating capacity. So I think seeing that vision, I think was really impressive. Last thing I want to say before we actually really dive into the game, I did get a chance to meet the kid who makes those hype videos, Afton, from Sound Off podcast. Man, what a great kid, man. Like, I got to hang out with him. I got to hang out with some of the Sound Off guys. So shout out to Michael Evangelista and Jonathan McNamara, good dudes. They do a great job on sound off. But really just a really cool kid, man, that Afton kid. Very talented. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the hype video this week for Coastal Carolina. But that, when we went to this Washington State game, we all knew that I think it would come down to which Washington State team we actually got, right? Because it seems like this team has been a little Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Of course, they got blown out by North Texas, and so that was sort of a place marker for us. But when you dive into the numbers of that North Texas game that they lost, and they got blown out by North Texas, well, they turned the ball over 5 times in the first half. I mean, that game was like 42-3 at the half, and it was because they had this other quarterback, I think it was Jackson Potter, who's more of a pocket passer, threw 3 interceptions in their own territory, gave North Texas a short field. Then they brought in another quarterback. He fumbles the ball in their own territory, gives North Texas another short field. And then their running back fumbles the ball in their own territory and gives North Texas another short field. So when you actually dive into it, they did not play the same kid that started against us, the Zevi Eckhouse. And, you're a quarterback, Vat, so I know you understand quarterback play and how important that is. But this Zevi Eckhouse kid seemed to be, from my perspective, a difference maker in this game. So much so. What's up, Vat Jr.? But so much so, man, that, it's the same kid that played Ole Miss really, really tough in spite of throwing 2 interceptions. So what was your thought on Zevi Eckhouse, man, and his ability to not get sacked, to evade pressure, and to continue to extend plays with his legs and get the ball downfield for Washington State?
Yeah, no, great question. One of the things that was most impressive about him is being able to keep the play alive. If you really go back and look at their 2 touchdowns, the one touchdown, the post down the middle, it must have been a double move. They had a tight shot, so I wasn't able to see the actual route, but you could tell it was some type of double move, and we had no safety in the middle of the field. We were being aggressive, right? And if you really go and look at that play, we should have had a sack. He made 2 guys miss and stepped up in the pocket and threw a touchdown. So I really don't get upset about those type of plays, because those type of plays, most of the time, 9 out of 10, we got them, right? And now it's a different ball game, you know what I mean? And then if you look at the touchdown that he scored, bro, we had 3 guys. It was almost like Coach Hitch knew exactly what they were about to run. We had 3 guys. They did a rollout, and we had 3 guys just waiting for him to roll out to the left side. So much so that all 3 guys were like on the same line, and so he just cut it up the middle and had like a little lane to score. And so when you look at his performance alone, they were relying on him to make the extra play or to make the extra move to buy them an extra second to have success. And he was able to do that.
And that Potter kid would have gotten sacked on those plays, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was the difference, right? The Zevi Eckhouse. And again, he wasn't perfect. And I think Washington State fans, if you listen to their podcast and their commentary, they don't think he is perfect. But I think in that moment, especially against us, he gave them a better chance to win the game. He gave them a better chance to win the UVA game. He gave them a better chance to win the Ole Miss game. And so coming into this game, we got the Zevi Eckhouse Washington State team. We didn't get the Jackson Potter Washington State team, 5 turnover team that North Texas got. And I think, I know the committee doesn't watch games, but hopefully they have enough sense to dig into the numbers a little bit to see that they played a totally different Washington State team than we did.
Yeah,
it still confounds me that this team lost to Oregon State, though. I got to be honest.
Yeah, it gotta hurt though if you're Wazoo fans, right? You lost by Ole Miss by I think 3. You lost to JMU by 4. They lost to UVA by 2, I believe.
2. Yeah.
And so, man, this is a very good football team that has some wonderful coaches. I mean, these guys, they did a flea flicker. They had some screen plays that busted us, which we got to be careful of in the future, right? Because that's where teams are going to watch this game and try to figure out, okay, how do we get over 300 against this defense? They barely got over 300, right? They had 301 yards, which if we would have just made one of those sacks, one of those plays that we're talking about.
Taking them back.
Yeah, it would have been under 300 again. But man, if you're a Wazoo fan, you got to be encouraged, but also like hurt that, these potential playoff teams too, right? You had a chance to beat.
No, 3. I mean, UVA is still in the
UVA,
playoff conversation.
Yeah.
JMU is still obviously in the playoff conversation. Ole Miss is a lock for the playoffs. And by the way, not for nothing, JMU had the highest margin of victory over this Washington State team than those other 2 ranked teams.
Come on, that goes to the committee. Send it in, Delvin. That goes to the committee.
Yeah, send it in, man. So again, I think to your other point though, if you are Washington State, you probably feel a lot like JMU felt coming out of Louisville, because remember, Louisville objectively beat us on 3 plays. Like 3 plays in that game were the difference. The strip sack fumble on Barnett for a touchdown, so we gave up a defensive score to them. The Chris Bell long touchdown pass reception and the Isaac Brown long touchdown run. You take away those 3 plays, we win the game. And if you look at this game, right, the Justin Eaglin pick 6, right? So they gave us a defensive score. The long pass to Braden Weslowski, right? Explosive play, 1 play. And then the Wayne Knight explosive run at the end. You take away those 3 scores, we lose this game, right? So if you are Washington State, to your point, they have a lot, I feel like, to be encouraged about. Let's talk about this offensive performance for us for a second, though. I knew coming into the game that, Washington State's strength was their defense. In fact, I don't know where I heard this or read this, but this was only the second team that JMU has played this season that is in the top 40 for adjusted defense. Now, I'm not an advanced metrics, advanced nerd stat guy. I'll leave that to our producer. But apparently adjusted defense kind of accounts for like total yards and adjusts for the opponent's strength of record, right? So holding, a Washington State team to 300 yards versus holding, Georgia State, who has only won 1 game this year, to less than 300 yards. They're not weighed the same, right? So adjusted defense. The only other top 40 team that we've played this season has been Louisville. And obviously we had some challenges against Louisville. So coming into this game, I knew that this would be a big challenge for us. So what were your thoughts on our offensive performance? And I want you to specifically talk about, AB3 and his performance, which at times did not seem like it was great, but it seemed like he made the plays when we needed them.
Yeah, I mean, 9 for 18, 144 yards, a touchdown, 1 interception. When you look at the statistics, it doesn't seem something that stands out, right? There were a few passes that were dropped. I thought that for the most part, he did a great job. I think I heard him talk about this last week in terms of managing the game, or game managers, people would say, get a bad rap, which I absolutely agree. A quarterback's job is to put his team in position to win the game when the fourth quarter comes around. Are you in position to win the game? I thought AB3 put us in a position to win the game by not trying to do too much, right? But taking what the defense give us. And there was not a lot of yes. Okay, let me finish talking, okay? Here, you can have it. Hey, it's not Spike, by the way.
Okay, I was gonna say, man, because we could get him to sleep real quick if that's got a little something in it.
This will buy me like 20 more seconds. Anyway, I thought he did a great job. It wasn't a great performance, but it was a great job just not forcing it and not doing too much to try to win the game, right?
Yeah.
More so put your team in position to win the game. I love the I call it the Tim Tebow type of pass where you run up and then you drop back. That was a designed call. You could tell they worked on it because they had the guard pull, because we run that play so well, where the quarterback power, right, and you have an offensive line that pulls. One thing cool though, when I was thinking about playing back in the day, I used to do that on my own a lot because I ran the ball so much at the quarterback position. There's times where instead of dropping back 3 yards, I would go forward 2 yards and then drop back to kind of open it up for our wide receivers to get open because the defense draws in to the quarterback run game. And so it shows the effectiveness of what we do in the run game that has allowed us to make a big explosive play down the field, which is what we needed. One play, 76 yards, something like that. Is exactly what we needed to get the crowd involved and to kind of change the dynamics of the momentum of the game.
Bro, because we went into halftime and we were down.
Yeah.
And if you look at the way we came out in the second half, we started running Alonza in the run game, right? Like a couple of designed runs to set that up, to your point. And once you get a couple of designed runs and your quarterback breaks free for a few yards, now all of a sudden those DBs are looking in the backfield.
Yeah.
And he took like 2 steps forward. You probably only need to take 1 step forward to influence the DBs.
No, we want to sell that thing. We want to sell that thing. You got to sell
Well,
it.
he sold it all right. And it's so crazy how much he sold it because he also had Sanchez over the top of Wisłowski also wide open. Like he could have thrown it to either one of them. I don't know how Sanchez got down the field so far ahead of Wisłowski. Maybe Wisłowski ran some other kind of route, like a sort of a flood route or something. I don't know what he ran, but man, it was a big play. And I'm just telling you, that stadium got electric when he made that play. So really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I would say is that Washington State was exactly who we thought they would be on defense, man. They were super duper disciplined on defense. I mean, they were solid in their run fits. They always had people in the right spot to make the plays. And, you know, the other thing that I would say is that in spite of that, right, Wayne Knight still, again, able to run for 126 yards on 15 carries, bro. That dude is an absolute superhero.
Yeah, you know what? If I had an opportunity to put a superhero on my helmet, it would be Wayne Knight. It would be Wayne Knight right there. I mean, dude, again, he put the game away, right? And he sealed it for us. And for him, you know, he's got
to do the Steph Curry. He's got to do the Steph Curry go night thing.
No
next
doubt.
Time he scores. Come on, Wayne Knight.
You know, it's interesting because you know, we talked about on the podcast, one of these podcasts, hey, we don't need you to go for over 100 yards rushing, you know, because, hey, we know we're going to get 50 here in the pass game, 85 here in the run game. Like, hey, just continue to be dynamic. Oh, and punt return, kick return, right? But this game, he went over 100, and he won it on the ground, right? And I love the fact that we were being patient enough. At the beginning of the game, it seemed like our offensive line, you know, I was just looking at the trenches. It seemed like we would be okay. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, we're going to be fine. And I love the fact that we were patient enough and willing enough to let the game come to us instead of trying to, you know, do something outside of our element. And I believe that this is one of the games this was like a Georgia State type of game where we learned from. And we were able, and I'm talking about from coaching staff, from play calling, we were able to learn, and players, right? We were able to learn from that and do some more, not creative things, I don't think that's the right word, but just almost not be too creative and just be who we are, you know what I mean? And allow our playmakers to continue to make plays, you know, in the pass game and the run game by being patient. And so Wayne Knight, again, another excellent performance by him. And yeah, man, when we get the ball in his hands, it just seems like some great things happen.
Yeah, I mean, great things happen. And I think one of the great things that we did is we kept our offense on the sideline for most of the second half. They only had 3 drives in the second half, right? Because I think that opening drive that we had in the first half, we held the ball for 9 minutes almost. And, you know, we didn't come away with any points, right? We end up going for it on 4th down when we could have kicked a field goal. And by the way, I was not upset with that call. I was okay with them going for it. But in the moment, you know, I said 2 things. Number one, Nick DeGennaro, when you catch that pass, you can't take a step back. Like, you got to know where you are. He ran his route to the right depth. If he catches that ball and goes forward, we get the first down there. He catches the ball, he takes a step back, trying to make a play, and I understand that in the moment, but you also have to understand that it's third down, and we need the first down on that play, right? They gave us the first down initially. Everybody in the stands could see he did not get the first down because of that step backwards. And so they review it. We bring out Joey Mallory. We get stopped on fourth down. But to that point, even though we didn't get any points on that drive, it was still a big drive and a big opportunity for us to keep their offense on the sideline.
Yeah, for most people that don't understand, this is a field possession type of game. Neither offense, like you said, they only had 3 possessions, but in the first half, I don't know how many possessions we had because I didn't count, but it just seemed like we didn't have the ball that much. And if you look at the game, they had the ball 32 minutes compared to, I think we had 25, right? So they had the ball 7 extra minutes more than what we had. And so when you look at that, our offense really didn't have a lot of opportunities to score points or to make something happen, right? They almost had to, when they got the ball, they almost had to be efficient with it. And so for that drive alone coming out of halftime, it set the tone, but then obviously momentum went back to them. But momentum going to them on the 10 or 12-yard line, wherever we were, is not the momentum that you necessarily want. I mean, all momentum is great, right? So I'm not saying that they didn't want that, but it favors us to have the ball, for them to have the ball deep in our territory. If that makes sense.
Definitely. Yeah. And by the way, so the second thought that I had on that fourth down play is I did not have a lot of confidence in that ending well. We're not a great fourth down team. We haven't been historically. And Washington State this season is elite on fourth down defense. Like, I think, there's like 6 conversions on fourth down out of 20 tries against that defense. So I knew that was going to be an uphill battle, and they just did a great job stuffing it out, man.
Yeah, at this point, give me the tush push.
Give me the tush push, man. Let's get under center. Let's do tush push. But, so to your point, we keep them in, deep in their territory, right? Bro, their punter is an NFL punter. Their punter, I mean, I'm sitting in the stadium, and I'm looking around at a bunch of people who have no idea who I am. Well, actually, there was a couple of people there that were like, yo, we love to the house. But, I'm looking around these people trying to talk to them like, yo, that was an NFL punt. Nobody's reciprocating. Like, nobody is appreciating it the way I am. But that punt that he hit after that drive, I mean, it was the most beautiful collegiate punt I've seen this season. That ball went straight up in the air, perfect spiral, came straight down. Wayne Knight caught it, but there was nothing he could do with it. He completely flipped the field in this game.
Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah, I think Wayne Knight caught it, but his body was turned to our end zone, and that lets you know how well the punt was, because you're thinking it's about to drop, but yet it still keeps going back, and then you got to like adjust. So you can't even look as a punt returner. You can talk about this, but I ain't never been a punt returner, but you would think that, man, I don't have vision this way, so I can't do anything with it. You know what I mean?
He caught the ball in his hip pocket, which is like the absolute worst place to catch a punt, because that's where the muffs happen.
Right.
But it was a tough punt to catch. Those are the ones that are hard, man. But anyway, that guy played really well. So glad we were able to do that. The last thing I want to say on offense, unless you have another thought, and then we'll go to defense. The last thing I want to say on offense is that maybe the most unheralded play of the entire game, from my perspective, was on the Wayne Knight touchdown. First off, their safety kind of overcommits to the strong side, which opens up the cutback lane for Wayne Knight. We talk about knowing how to win, trusting your teammates. That safety didn't trust that his teammates were going to make the play on the right side, which is why he overcommitted. Those are the plays that get you beat, right? Trusting your teammates. But the biggest part of that entire run is you see Nick DeGennaro running down the field next to Wayne Knight. And there's a couple of defenders there who could potentially tackle Wayne Knight, and DeGennaro does not clip them. And how many times have we seen a scenario where, you got a running back who's going to the end zone, the receiver's trying his best to get downfield, make a block, inadvertently block somebody in the back enough for the ref to throw a flag that may not have even mattered, and DeGennaro just does the smart thing, just gets in their way and throws his hands up. I mean, I'm looking at this. I'm like, don't clip. Great play, DeGennaro.
Yeah,
so shout out to that guy for that, man.
Those are the small things that make championship teams arrive, I'm glad you brought that up, because those are things that don't really get highlighted in a game. And for him to be running full speed for his teammate to go and score that we absolutely needed is the extra effort that we need to continue to see as we try to progress.
Love JMU Sports News? Help us keep bringing you the best coverage we possibly can. Support the show and fuel our work at buymeacoffee.com/JMU Sports News. Every cup keeps us rolling all season long. Buymeacoffee.com/JMU Sports News. Big win, huge play. Don't just remember it, wear the moment. Breaking Tea makes shirts that capture the game's biggest highlights right as they happen. Gear up today using the link in the description. College football's back, and it's time to upgrade your game day gear. Right now, claim 15% off at Home Field. The best retro and vintage apparel in the game. Rep JMU in style. Don't wait. Check the link in description to get your 15% off. For more than 20 years, SignPro has been proudly serving the Valley, helping local businesses stand out and get noticed. Whether it's vehicle wraps that turn heads on the road, dimensional signs that elevate your storefront, or long-lasting banners with yard signs, we bring quality and experience to every project. With a reputation built on craftsmanship and trust, we're here to make your message impossible to miss. Visit mysignpros.net and let's showcase your business with confidence. That's mysignpros.net.
So let's talk about this defense. We knew coming into this game that, an opportunity for us would be our defense against their offense, which has not really proven to be an offense that could score a lot of points, right? So we knew that if we could get to like 24 points on offense, our defense could probably keep them to a manageable score total, and we would likely win the game. But I got to tell you, man, Washington State was physical on both sides of the ball, man. They were physical on offense as well. It felt like that Marshall offense kind of controlling the line of scrimmage at times, right? We already talked about Zevi Eckhouse being effective, getting outside of the pocket, evading the blitz. We got no sacks on him. But they also were handing the ball off to this Voorhees guy, and he was running downhill. In fact, they picked up like 2 third down and 9s, which I thought was ridiculous on the ground. So what were your thoughts about, this Washington State offense and the guy, Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, who was an absolute nightmare at Bridgeforth for our defense?
Yeah, I mean, you said it, it was a physical game. I mean, it was just physical on all sides. And, while they had some success on the ground, I thought our defensive back, our secondaries, these guys are, I ain't going to say much improved, but these guys are balling. Right. All of the guys in the secondary are not afraid to tackle. And that's what I love about our defense. Right. We have some really good linebackers, but our secondary, England, Amar Thomas, Elijah Cope, he had a couple big plays in this game that were like, man, who's that dude with the arm brace? Because he is like a physical guy. Right.
He's a maniac, bro.
Yeah.
He's always in the middle of it.
He's in the middle of it, and he embraces it. He welcomes it. He absolutely loves it. And I mean, I absolutely love the number that he wears. I mean, he's representing well, and so he has done an amazing job. Justin England, to be able to get in front of that pass, that was another play where the quarterback was able to maneuver around the pocket, but this time he made a bad decision, and so we could have had a sack again. But Justin England, he remained on the receiver to the point where now he was able to step up and make a huge play. And what do we call it? I forget what we called it when you jump into the stand.
The Bridgeforth bounce.
The Bridgeforth bounce. I mean, when I saw that, I'm just like, I get jealous every time. I'm like, bro, that looks so fun. And I'm so mad that I never had an opportunity or I never took advantage of doing that. And so the defense did extremely well.
Yeah, I thought that was super. I thought that was super dope, man. So shout out to Eaglin. Chesney has a saying: if you make a play, we're gonna make you pay. And, of course, Eaglin makes a play there, but later, they made him pay on the double move. But, to your point, they've still been extremely solid. You know who else was like ridiculously solid in this game was my guy, Drew Spenagati. Dude, Spenagati, I mean, this dude had 16 tackles. He had 2 pass deflections. I love his energy because he's, obviously throughout the season, he's flashed, right? We've seen him, on a blitz here and there, make plays in the backfield on either running back or quarterback. Like, dude has flashed, but I think this past Saturday was a coming out party. Obviously, he got a lot more playing time because of the Gannon Weathersby injury. But for that dude to have the light shined on him, as Chesney likes to say, and to walk away with 16 total tackles, I mean, he was everywhere in that ball game. In spite of our guy, Kurt Dudley, absolutely butchering his name in the broadcast at times.
Hey, that's all right.
Man, Kurt Dudley struggles with the Italian names, man. Spenagati, De Janeiro, like those are killing him. But, man, by the way, Kurt Dudley is an absolute machine. Like, he does the football game on Saturday, and then I turn on the women's basketball game with the big win over Virginia Tech. Shout out to the women's basketball team. Kurt Dudley's calling that game too. And I'm like, I know all the preparation it takes to call a football game. I could not imagine getting my head right the next day going to call a women's basketball game, man. So shout out to that guy, dude. He's the GOAT. Yeah,
no doubt. Shout out to Kurt. He does an amazing job, and I got to do my first commentary with him at JMU. And so, speaking of women's basketball, I seen their caption on their Instagram, and it said, "Do the hokey pokey dance." I thought that was amazing. I just thought that was amazing,
bro. Trash talk in college sports now is so different than we were always afraid to give people bulletin board material,
right? No doubt.
And now everybody's just like, whatever, man. Alonza Barnett walks off the field against Old Dominion and says, "We run VA." I'm like, bro, they're going to post that on the bulletin board for next season. And then next season, we beat them 63 to whatever.
Hey, doesn't matter. We are the Dukes of JMU is what we say. And
that's
so,
right.
Man, I seen the hokey pokey. I'm like, man, that is so clever. I would have never thought of that. Yeah. That was really cool. And then you're playing VT next year, right? And James Franklin just got announced as head football coach. And so that obviously takes our coach off of the VT list, which I don't want to change the subject, but I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, I don't know that Virginia Tech game is actually going to happen next year, man. I'm actually concerned about that. The ACC has to go to 9 conference games next season, and they got VMI, Old Dominion, and JMU on the schedule for non-con games. And I just think if there's one that they want to get rid of, is probably the one against us. I'm hoping they get rid of, VMI maybe and play 2 Sunbelt teams and give ODU and us a crack at them. But I don't have a whole lot of confidence in that. But again, just going back to this defense for a second, man, what a great performance by the defense. They gave up a couple of explosive plays, but for the most part, man, everybody was solid in their run fits. Washington State, big physical team. Trent Hendrick had like 9 tackles. Jacob Thomas, Tyler Brown. By the way, I mean, this dude is All-American. I don't care what anybody says. That dude is an All-American because the way he comes up and makes plays in the run game on defense, man, he's like the last line of defense in a lot of these cases, and he is a very, very sure tackler, and he's very physical, man. I love the way this kid plays, and for him to only be a redshirt sophomore, I think, is like, or maybe he's a redshirt freshman. But man, that dude is a monster, bro.
Yeah, shout out to Tyler Brown. I didn't get to share his name earlier, but that's somebody that I absolutely wanted to highlight because he plays big. I mean, our defensive back, they just really play big, and they play like they belong. They play like they belong in the run game, but they also cover well downfield, and they have the trust, like you talked about earlier. They have the trust to know that their defensive line is going to get home, that their linebackers are going to take care of business. They have that trust on the defensive side, and it's just a level of confidence that you can't necessarily coach, but you know that it trickles down from their defensive coordinator.
Yeah. And we play very, very aggressively on defense. The type of defense that we play, you know what? I'm sorry. We're going to give up a big explosive play every now and then. It's just what it is. But again, to your point, we got a lot of confidence in the guys we got on the backside. Eaglin did get beat on that double move, but to your point, if Eckhouse doesn't buy a little time with his legs, we get home and we get a sack, and that never shows up on film, right? So I thought it was a great performance.
Yeah. Shout out to Sahar West.
Sahir, yeah.
Sahir, yeah. Sorry, my son is in the background. I can't think. But anyway, this dude continues to show up big. Like as the game goes on, he just shows up in a way that you absolutely need him to show up, right? I think he had a sack this game. He had 2 sacks, a second half, I believe. He had a few tackles, 4 tackles as well, 2 solo tackles. And so anyway, man, when the game continues on, you just know to expect him to make a big play in a big moment, and he is a big-time football player.
Yeah, he's a big-time player. I will correct the record. We had no sacks in this game, but he did have 1.5 tackles for loss, which, and we needed him, man. That dude is a big-time.
Sahir didn't have any sacks? Oh, yeah. You're right.
You're right. As a team.
Yeah.
Not even as a team.
You know what? I was looking at the wrong.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, I was looking. He tackled the running back. Yeah, he had like 2 tackles for loss. It wasn't a quarterback. So yeah, good correction.
Yeah. So I mean, again, we couldn't get to this kid, but a couple of notes on special teams. I was praising Washington State's punter a second ago. Patrick Ray, I think, is still just crushing it for us, helping us to flip field position, helping us to get some good field position on defense. There was an opportunity, I thought, for him to do his little rollout and keep it running type of thing on one of those punts. I mean, he had wide open grass. I was like, just run the ball. But, I guess he probably is afraid of that from the Weber State fiasco. But Patrick Ray, great job. And then Morgan Suarez coming up big with a 45-yarder. And we absolutely needed that field goal in that moment. I think that was the one to tie the game up 3-3, right? So shout out to Morgan Suarez, building some confidence that I'm almost okay with Patton Moe. He got to make one more of those, and then he can have a radio show on me, right?
Bro, so, get off their back. He's saying, get off my back, bro. I got this.
I'm in on it. It's funny, man. I talked to some fans, during the tailgate, and they love Patton Moe's show, man. They were just raving about the Patton Moe show. So shout out to Patton Moe. I haven't listened, I got to be honest, but if it's good, it's good. All right, so let's transition. Again, great overall win to beat this team. Now, of course, JMU moves into the number 20 spot on the AP poll, 21st in the coaches poll. We all know that really doesn't mean a whole lot at this point, because really what matters is the CFP poll. But you know what? I got to tell you, man, seeing our name in that AP poll is a absolute big deal. I think the challenge, right, Vad, if we were to talk about, our resume for a second, I think the challenge is the Sunbelt, and we've talked about it all season. Sunbelt kind of let us down at the beginning of the year, right? We had no real signature wins. It didn't feel like. And in a lot of cases, Sunbelt teams are going around getting blown out by some of these non-con teams. And it just really, felt like even if we ran the table, our resume would not be as strong coming out of this Sunbelt. Has your perception changed of the Sunbelt so far this year? Because that's what everybody's pointing to. Sunbelt's down.
Yeah, Sunbelt is hasn't helped us. However, the way that we win in dominant fashion, and even
right,
our defense, the statistics of the last team that have a team go over 300, just different things that we have been able to do, I think should be an account for the CFP. But yeah, right. I mean, in terms of, even like Louisville, for example, I was rooting for Louisville to run the ACC, but the
Louisville fell apart.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, I mean, that's a game that we absolutely should have won, right? And so
should have won.
But 10-1,
that makes me sad that we did that. We were doing that 2 quarterback experiment back then, man. Like, I think
no doubt.
I think this JMU team right now wins that Louisville game, maybe by 2 scores.
Hey, bro, it's not even close. And let's be careful, because we don't want the Louisville fans to say, oh, they're still talking about that, But this JMU team is for real. And I mean, we called it out earlier. Coaching, coaching played a big part into that. We talked about this whole conversation that we're having today is about trust, right? This podcast should be named Trust, because we see that the coaches trust the players trust the coaches. Alonza is talking about how great, the play calling and things of that nature. They're putting the ball in his hands and allowing him to run the ball, because at first it was almost perceived as he couldn't run the ball. But since then he's been running it well. And so anyway, we're not going to go in the past. 10-1 is an amazing record. And for that to happen early on, imagine we playing a team like that, in the late of the season, lose that game, right? We were able to learn from that early on, which I believe that the CFP, college football playoffs should take that into consideration as well. I mean, we're playing games that we technically not supposed to win. However, we're still here. We're still standing, and we've gone undefeated since, the first month of the football season. And so, the Sunbelt hasn't helped us out, but I think JMU is a standalone, and I know that this could be a clip that could be clipped out and thrown on Twitter or somewhere, because I'm saying we're a standalone and we're separate from the Sunbelt. However, bro, like, the Sunbelt has not just they have not performed and have not lived up. No other team really has lived up to its expectations of what could be outside of JMU. We've taken care of business week in and week out, and it seems like even Southern Miss, right? They're a really good team, but you expect them to kind of win out. You kind of want them to win out, and I think they lost last week as well. And so, anyway, we have to continue to take care of business and win in the fashion that we're winning in, to win big, and not just make it a game, but to win big.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like I wish the Louisville game and the Washington State game were flipped on our schedule, right? We would have gotten Jackson Potter at quarterback in the early part of the season for Washington State. We probably blow them out like North Texas did. And right now, Louisville is banged up. I mean, I know SMU just boat raced them this past weekend, but if you look at it, the reason SMU won that game, Miller Moss is hurt and didn't play, so they played two backup quarterbacks in that game, and neither one of their Brown running backs actually played in this game. Isaac Brown and Keywan Brown, neither of those guys played, and those are two explosive backs that make explosive plays.
Bro,
so, there's extenuating circumstances for Louisville.
That is not what I thought you was talking about. Neither one of those, they're Brown running back.
Come on, Matt. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
So anyway, but yeah, I mean, the Brown brothers is what they call them. But anyway, so again, Louisville is going to fall apart. That is not going to be a great loss for us going forward. But I think if you look at our resume, and I want you to think about this objectively, I think the one thing that really helps us is that Texas State, which is, I think you could say, is a bad Sunbelt team because they've only won 2 Sunbelt games this season. We beat that team by 32 points, right?
Yeah.
So Texas State beat UTSA, and that UTSA team beat Tulane by 3 scores. And again, I know a lot of JMU fans know this, and they point to this, and this is one of the things that we've been pointing to the committee. Like, that bad loss has to really count for something, right? And listen, the other part of that is Tulane also got blown out by Ole Miss. So we've already seen what this Tulane team would do against a college football playoff team. They lost 45-10, and they only got 10 points because they got a garbage time touchdown in the last, 3 minutes of the game in the fourth quarter, right? So again, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt on the Ole Miss game, but you still gotta penalize them for getting blown out by UTSA. Like, that should be disqualifying. And Vad, I hate that we have right now all this G5 on G5 hate going on. We should be banding together as the G5 with the American and saying it is an absolute travesty that we only have one G5 team in that CFP poll. That is absolute garbage. So I'm just telling you, if that happens again this week, man, I'm going to lose it. I don't know where this CFP committee meets, but man, I might go knock on somebody's door. But I want to look at our resume, and I want to get your thoughts on this, right? And I'll go through this really quickly because I know we're running out of time today. But when you think about, our resume, right? Apparently, by all accounts, the Sunbelt is down and we're just beating up on a bunch of garbage teams. But when you look at the opportunity this coming week, if everything happens the way we need it to happen, we will have beaten that. And I hope this doesn't come as a surprise to you. It may to come as a surprise to a lot of our listeners. We will have beaten 8 playoff teams. I mean, not playoff teams, but 8 bowl eligible teams. So if we win out for the rest of the season, including the Sunbelt Championship game, 8 of our 12 wins will be against bowl eligible teams. Does that come as a surprise to you?
You know what? It actually does. Just because.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess I haven't thought about bowl eligible teams, and of course, to be bowl eligible, you have to win 6 games. And what did you
win 6 games?
Did you include Washington State in that? They're going to win next week. We're pulling for them to win.
We're pulling for them to win. So let me tell you who we're pulling for to win this week for that to happen, right? App State over Arkansas State. And App State's bowl eligible. The Georgia Southern Marshall game this week doesn't matter. They're both 5-6, so one of them is going to win that game and be bowl eligible, unless they tie, which would be an absolute travesty. Old Dominion, obviously, you say there hasn't been a Sunbelt team that held up their end of the bargain. I would say you could argue that Old Dominion
8-3
finished this season 9, and they'll be 9-3 because they played Georgia State. So they're 9-3 with a win over a Power 4 team in Virginia Tech. That's a really good season and a signature win for us, right?
Yeah.
Then we need Louisiana to beat UL Monroe. That gets them the 6 wins in bowl eligibility. We need Texas State to beat South Alabama, which gives them bowl eligibility. We'll play either Troy or Southern Miss, who play this week in the championship, right? And so they're obviously both already bowl eligible. Coastal's already bowl eligible. And to your point, Washington State beats Oregon State this week, and they will be bowl eligible. That will be 8 out of our 12 wins against bowl eligible teams.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
fire, right?
Yeah, bro. I love that you're doing. I love that you're updating us on the resume, because we need to hear that. I think JMU right now we're sitting on the edge of our seats and we're waiting for some team to lose or something, some other thing to happen. Meanwhile, I think the focus continues to be on us, right? I think the focus continues to take care of business and continue to win in our fashion. And I truly believe that it's going to work out for us. But of course, that requires for us to stay focused here and allow everybody else like us to talk about these other things.
And by the way, if you were to compare that against North Texas and Tulane, North Texas will likely finish the season having only beaten 4 bowl eligible teams. Right? Rice is one of their wins. Rice plays South Florida this week, so Rice will probably lose that game and not be bowl eligible. Temple needs to win to be bowl eligible this week, but they play North Texas. So North Texas doesn't want to lose that game to help Temple.
Temple is a good team. Temple is a good team.
Temple's got to show up this week, bro. Like that is the scenario that we need. We need Temple to beat this North Texas team, and then North Texas to play in the American Championship and beat Tulane, I think, is the scenario that we need for the leapfrog.
That scenario is hey, you heard it here first on To The House podcast. As Temple is going to take care of business this week. Temple is one of the schools that have been the schools that I've traveled and toured and spoke to. But their new coach, that first year coach, I think he might be the winningest coach in college football, active right now. He came from Sam Houston, I believe. Is that right?
Well, he came from Delaware.
Delaware.
I mean, I think he was probably coaching Delaware when you were there, my guy. Casey Keeler.
Yeah.
When you were at JMU, he was probably coaching Delaware.
Yeah, dude came from Sam Houston State, and he is an amazing coach, and he's done a phenomenal job at Temple this year. And I hope that I think they're going to take care of business. So you put out the scenario, Delvin. I thought that was great because I really do think that there's some stock in there. And I'm not a betting man, but if I was a betting man, we'll make a lot of money. Let's go.
That would be amazing. And by the way, for what it's worth, Tulane will also likely finish the season having only beaten 4 bowl eligible teams, right? Which, again, I think speaks to their resume. So we beat 8, and those teams only beat 4 apiece. We beat more bowl-eligible teams total then they will likely finish the season having beaten collectively. That Texas State and South Alabama game is also a really big game because Tulane beat South Alabama this season. So that if South Alabama wins that game against Texas State, not only does it take away one of our bowl eligible wins, it gives them one extra, right? So then it's like 7-5. And for what it's worth, man, Tulane only beat this South Alabama team by 2 points. Like a bad Sunbelt team that's only won 4 games this season. Tulane only beat them by 2 points. And everybody gives us crap about beating Georgia State by a full touchdown, but nobody gives Tulane any crap for only beating a bad Sunbelt team by 2 points and then getting boat raced by an average UTSA team. I don't understand it. So anyway, a lot of things going on with our resume. That I know we're running out of time, bro. Let's transition real quick and do a quick preview on Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't want this game to feel like an afterthought, but at this point in the episode, it kind of feels like an afterthought. And hopefully for our players, it doesn't. And hopefully they're not looking at, recent history of this matchup, right? Because we've absolutely dominated Coastal Carolina. You could add up their point total from the last 3 seasons, and it doesn't even add up to what we scored in last year's game collectively, right? So 47-7 in 2022, 56-14 in 2023, and 39-7 in 2024. So, Vat, what are your thoughts about this Coastal Carolina team?
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that you just totaled up the score the last 3 years, because that's exactly where I'm going. This team is 6-5. They lost to UVA 48-7. They lost to East Carolina 38-0. They lost to Old Dominion 47-7. They lost to Georgia Southern 45-40. They put some points up that game. And then they lost to South Carolina last week, 51-7. If you total that up, I believe that's like 224 points, something like that, compared to like 61 in their 5 losses. Yeah. And 40 of those points came from Georgia Southern. So really, I mean, it's 21 points. They scored 7 multiple games, multiple losses. So they really couldn't score the football, get in the end zone on their losses. So this team loses. When they lose big, right? And of course, Georgia Southern, they were able to put up 40 points. However, I will say that this team is bowl eligible. They've already won 6 games, which I like that, because it's not like they're coming into this game like, man, we got to do everything that we can to get bowl eligible, right? So I like that they already taken advantage of that. But they are 4-1 at home. And so I think that that's something that the JMU team is going to play off of this week in their preparation. Is they play really well at home. They're 4-1. And so, when you look at that, we have to be sure that, we take care of business, in all elements of the game. This team does the concession stands for free. So they're trying to bring in the fans, and they've done a great job of trying to create an atmosphere where people want to be at their games in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Conway, South Carolina. And so, I do think we play up that they're 4-1 at home, and we certainly don't want them to be 5-1.
Yeah, I by the way, I'm really looking forward to the free concessions, man, because I'm taking my whole family, and so we're going to be rolling 5 deep, and we are going to absolutely gut them on the concessions. They have not met my kids. We're going to have a blast.
That's hilarious.
But the other thing, I think, when you look at their early part of their season, they got a new offensive coordinator, and they were trying to run like a more air raid style offense, right? Like kind of like the Casey Keeler, Temple, the North Texas Mestamaker kind of offense, like air raid, like just air it out. And I heard an interview with Tim Beck, and he said, you know what? We just learned that that's not who we are. And so they made a quarterback change. They went to this kid, I think it's Collier, and now he's more of a mobile dual threat quarterback. And that's when they turned it around and started getting some wins. So when they were losing big to East Carolina and to UVA, they were still trying to run that air raid offense. When they made the change, or they lost big to Old Dominion, after that Old Dominion game is when they made the change to this more running style quarterback in Collier. And that's when they started winning football games. Now, the unfortunate thing is Collier went down with an injury a few weeks ago. And so they played the game last week against South Carolina with the original starter. And this kid is the actual, I think it's Hudson. He's actually their leading passer on the season because he's played most of the season. But I don't know if Collier is going to play in this game or if it's going to be Hudson. I don't know the nature of Collier's injury. I don't know if our producer can share that with us. But I think if Hudson plays, he's more of a pocket style passer. I think, our defense is going to have probably a field day with him, much like South Carolina did last week. But I think optically that, we've blown this team out 3 seasons in a row. If there is a season where we need to blow them out again for the optics of it, we get a pass on Washington State because Ole Miss also got a pass on Washington State, right? We're not going to get a pass if this game is close against Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, no, I think we have to, as JMU, they have to dominate and take care of business. One of those performances where they don't even have 300 yards, right? One of those performances where we have 600 yards on offense, and one of those performances to end the season well. This is our last final season game, and so this is an opportunity for us to bring back that confidence, that juice, get Alonza, who's maybe considered player of the year in the conference, get him back on track in terms of, the pass game and getting that pass game going. And so I do believe that, we take care of business, and we take care of business in a big fashion.
Could you make a case for Wayne Knight as player of the year?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I could make that case. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's like 50 yards away or 30 yards away from 1,000-yard season in the regular season. He's obviously going to go over 1,000 once we count the Sunbelt Championship game. And then when you throw in a bowl game, he's going to be well over 1,000. I just think again, I said it before, he's probably MVP of this team this season.
Yeah. Well, he could possibly finish this season with over 2,000 total yards, right? I didn't look, but
I think he's close to 500 yards receiving.
Right.
So I don't know what his return yards look like. But that would be something else. Because remember, he had that long kickoff return for a touchdown called back early in the season. I can't remember who that was against. Maybe Weber.
Well, some quarterbacks win player of the year by just getting barely over 2,000 yards passing, right? And then, of course, they might have some rushing yards. And you see a lot of quarterbacks end up winning the player of the year. They had like 2,200 yards passing and maybe another 500 rushing. This guy is not a quarterback, but he's probably going to be over 2,000 yards, total yards. And so I think I think we need to, do a better job in sports to reward efforts like that outside of just giving, it all to the quarterback. You know what I mean? And last year.
Wow. A quarterback saying this?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, especially in this modern day era, you expect quarterbacks to throw for 300. You expect quarterbacks to have over 3,000 yards, passing, but you don't.
Okay, Unc. Throwing shade at the new generation. Oh, in this new era of college football, I mean, it's easy to throw for.
I'm a part of it. That's why I went from Georgia Tech to JMU. I mean, I went from throwing the ball 7 times a game to 32 times a game, and so and I ran the ball 20 times a game. So hey, put the ball in my hands, right? But that was easy for me to have over 3,000. Not easy. I'm not gonna say easy, but it was expected. So anyway, yes.
No doubt.
Yeah, Wayne Knight should definitely.
Well, you know how the Sun Belt does it though. They give out an offensive player of the year, and then they give out a player of the year. So there is a chance that he doesn't get player of the year, but he gets offensive player of the year, or vice versa, which I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
All right. And Vat, are you? I mean, I know you're in South Carolina. Are you going to make it to the game this weekend?
I can confirm to you that Vad Lee
will
not be at the game this weekend.
My goodness, bro.
Everybody's
still looking out for you, bro.
In all seriousness, we got, obviously it's Thanksgiving break, right? So we're heading out of town, and my father-in-law, he's been dealing with some things, and so we have to go spend time. We have to go spend time. We'll actually be near you, bro. We'll be in the Charlotte area, and my wife also has a big interview for a dental job in that area on that Monday. So we're kind of spending the whole weekend. So yeah, we'll have fun.
All right. Well, we'll be sending good vibes your way on both accounts. And hopefully that works out. Hopefully you guys have a great Thanksgiving. All right, let's go to what you're talking about, Willis.
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
All right, so my what you talking about, Willis, this week comes from college football final, on ESPN, and it's EJ Manuel. EJ, I had to come for you, bro. So, they show the JMU football highlights, and then Joey Galloway says, and I quote, "The Dukes need more respect. They should be ranked." And then EJ Manuel says, "Why? They just struggled with a 5-6 Washington State." EJ Manuel, what are you talking about, Willis? That same Ole Miss team that you guys regard so highly in the college football playoff also struggled with the same Washington State team. And shout out to Matt Barry, who is the host of College Football Final. Matt Barry quickly corrected him and said they also played Ole Miss tough. So he looked at EJ Manuel and in so many words said, "What are you talking about, Willis?" Right? This wasn't some dumpster fire of a program. It's a really good Washington State team that's played a lot of teams really tough. EJ Manuel, what are you talking about, Willis?
Bro, what you talking about, Willis?
All right, Bat.
EJ Manuel, shout out to EJ Manuel.
All right, Bat.
We played them in the ACC championship game, redshirt freshman year. They ended up beating us, but yeah. Anyway, what you talking about, Willis?
Nice.
We're going to continue the show, and I am ready to take it to the house, Delvin, because my son is in the background.
Take us to the house.
Crying,
Take
and
us to the house.
my mind is in two different places, but I'll take us to the house. A couple weekends ago, I had the chance to introduce stadium stairs to my 9th grade nephew who spent the weekend with me. This young man is bright, he's gifted, and he is full of potential. But he's also had to walk through more than most his age at 14 years old. I won't get into any details, but I will say that the stadium stairs, you remember running the stadium stairs, Delvin, and all the athletes out there, you probably know what I'm talking about. Especially being from Durham, North Carolina, at Duke football stadium. If you've ever been to Duke football, they have the worst stadium stairs. I mean, those things does not end. They were no joke growing up. And honestly, maybe that's why they are called the Blue Devils. But those stairs became one of the greatest teachers growing up for me. They taught me hard work. They taught me the importance of greatness. They taught me the importance of endurance. They taught me how to start, but also how to finish what I started. But the best lessons was simple. One of the best lessons that I ended up writing about in my first book, Purpose Over Position, was eliminate to elevate. Think about it. You're standing at the bottom of the stairs. There's only one way up. And every step requires focus, determination, and intentionality. Because the moment you lose focus, you trip, you fall. And you don't want to go sliding backwards on stairs. Elevation requires elimination. And when I look at JMU right now, that's exactly where they are. They're reaching heights we've never seen before, clinching the division, playing on national television, almost having college game day once again, nationally ranked 20th, and on the verge of college football playoffs. And let's not forget, our coach has been mentioned for some big time jobs and some big time conversations. But my encouragement to JMU is to finish what you started. To finish this season off on the right way is going to take for you to eliminate to elevate. Eliminate the noise, even eliminate the praise, eliminate the distractions, and eliminate doubt. And maybe you listening, are trying to elevate your life too, in your career, in your home, or in your life. If so, here's the same piece of advice I'll give you. Eliminate the distractions, eliminate the noise, so that you can fully lock in on the process of elevation. Remember, elevation requires elimination. And this is your take it to the house. And guess what? I'll see you at the top. Go Dukes.
Go Dukes. Eliminate to elevate. I love that, man. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. I'm going to wear that at the Sunbelt Championship game in Harrisonburg on Friday,
December 5th.
And that, I need you to come get in the car with me on that trip, bro.
Let's go.
Well done, man.
Let's make it happen.
Let's go, bro. All right. Thank you all for listening to another episode of To The House. See you guys in Conway, South Carolina. Go Dukes.
Go Dukes.